If you already make videos for a living, YouTube isn't a mysterious new arena that you need to learn from scratch. It's the same craft, but just on a slightly different stage. You already know how to squeeze the best image out of a camera, you already know how to capture clean dialogue, and you already know how to build a story that moves. Now, obviously, I don't have guru-level insight into the algorithm, but my honest feeling, which is hardly scientific, is that if you make something good, YouTube tries fairly hard to give the right people a chance to see that. And the big reason I keep coming back each week is simple. It's completely freeing. Here, I'm the creator and the client. There's no brand deck looming over my shoulder, no house style to color to, and no request to slightly soften the tone of a piece. I'm the one with complete creative control, and it's brilliant. Today, I want to persuade you that now is the right time to start your channel, and I'll give you a 30-day plan at the end so you can get moving without doing the endless faff of planning indefinitely. Let's talk about why you're already further ahead than you think. 1. You already have the hard bit. Most people starting out on YouTube are trying to balance learning camera basics while also trying to find their own voice. But you've done the groundwork. You know how to compose a frame so it's pleasing on the eye. You know the difference between log footage and beautifully graded footage. And you've honed your pacing instincts from years of creating something that feels very human. Does YouTube reward quality? I wouldn't want to overstate that, but it's definitely a platform that gives quality a chance. And the audience can definitely tell when you've actually lived the thing you're talking about. If you've ever had to rescue a shot in the last 10 minutes of a location booking, you've got stories worth telling. If you've ever had to match daylight to a weirdly green practical, you've got a lesson that someone else needs tomorrow. That's the currency here. Lived detail. It's not theory, and it's not just vibes. It's what you did and why. In a moment, I'll show you more how the live detail approach becomes a weekly format you can actually keep up. 2. Freedom from the brief. Client work is obviously brilliant and it pays the bills, but you're always working inside someone else's sensibilities, and that's the job. Useful constraints, yes, but sometimes quite narrow ones. On YouTube, I can keep the seams in shot. If I fluff a line but the thought is good, it stays. If there's a micro bump in the handheld as I reach for a dial, I don't bother going back and reshooting it. And if I have to bodge something on set and it saves the day, on YouTube I can show that bodge. All these textures and mistakes aren't sloppiness or laziness, but honesty. And in a lot of ways on YouTube, it's those imperfections that really humanize a piece of video. And crucially, when trying to help share those experiences with others, they help the learnings really stick. The clean finished client cut almost never shows a problem that forced a solution. Whereas on YouTube, that problem can become the story. You can talk about what went wrong, what you tried, what worked, and how you do things differently next time. And here is where my tastes get a chance to stretch their legs. You can try an approach that would never fly on a brand job, and I can learn from it in public, and no one's going to send me an email requesting a revision. And the side effect of that is you become more valuable in client work, because your tastes become sharper and your problem-solving muscles stay warm in between jobs. I'll let you in on my guardrails in a bit, the rules I use to stop this freedom from turning into chaos. 3. It's much more social than I expected. I started this channel thinking YouTube was primarily a video hosting site. What I've come to realize is it's actually a full-blown social media platform. The comment section doesn't feel like engagement, which is a YouTube term. It feels like a place full of working video people, with some further along on their journey than I am, much further in fact, and other people just starting out. And yet these people, all of them, seem to wander back around each week. It's amazing. Freelancing can be quite a solitary way of working. Long edits, solo shoots, emailing clients at unusual hours, and I found that YouTube has been a really reliable place to chat with people in the same boat, and it's quite special in that respect. You end up with a micro circle of people who know your kit, your taste, your rhythm, and they can spot when you're onto something. Also, they won't hesitate to tell you if your title is muddy or misleading. I've been caught foul of that a few times. Let's talk about money, because everybody asks, even though it's not really the point. This week, this channel became monetized, but I'm not holding my breath for AdSense to contribute any meaningful way to my finances. Client work is always going to beat it, certainly in the medium term, which is totally fine. The return shows up in other places and they kind of compound. Visibility. The channel shows your process, not just the end product. That's hugely valuable. Credibility. Teaching what you know has an odd way of building trust in the background. Serendipity. The email you wouldn't have got otherwise, the collaboration, the brand intro, or the could you come and do this thing because we like how you approach problems and we've seen you on YouTube. There's a really compelling gear side too, and if you're anything like me and a bit of a gear nerd, that part is very, very alluring. Some manufacturers obviously will blank you because at this stage in your journey you are a microscopic concern, but others surprisingly say hello. I've had real proper back and forths with Deity, Focusrat and Mofage, and they're small but quality manufacturers, and you get the chance to build relationships with actual people. Obviously, borrowing a piece of kit for a video is really nice, but an even bigger win is broadening your own technical vocabulary. You try a thing you wouldn't normally buy, it changes how you light or rig, and that improvement follows you onto paying jobs. I'll show you how exactly I constrain the time input so YouTubing doesn't eat my entire week. One of the great joys of YouTubing is that it's pretty low cost. The only real cost is time, and if you're smart, you can cap that. And typically there's no real need to buy any additional kit. You can just use the kit you already earn with. I dabbled in YouTube during the pandemic, and because I had quite an empty schedule, I quite quickly let YouTube take over entire weeks. And from that I learned a valuable lesson. So these days I'm really strict. The channel gets one workday per week, roughly 10 hours. And I found that's actually pretty sustainable. It fits around my freelancing quite comfortably, and sometimes work arrives in uneven clamps and I'm still able to make the YouTube schedule. I'm sure there'll be times where it breaks down and compromises have to be made, but for now, nearly 20 episodes in, I'm happy. I've got some guardrails that really help keep me on track. Publish at the same slot every week, which helps me a lot more than it actually helps the audience. I shoot all my A-roll in one block. If I mess up a line or slur or stumble a word, it doesn't really derail the message, it stays in. I'm getting pretty efficient when it comes to shooting inserts. I've got a list that I can just run through depending on the subject and just pick which ones are required. My first pass edit is absolutely ruthless. Trim all the rubbish. It's not a polishing edit, it's decisive. And as you've probably noticed, I cover my jump cuts with a little bit of texture, and that doesn't really hide the jump, but it keeps the pace going and it just stars it enough to get away with. These guardrails work for me. They're obviously not commandments. They are kind of a framework that helps me deliver constantly without turning each weekly deadline into a panic or a rush. Next up, there's a huge R&D value. Why a channel makes you faster and cleaner on client jobs. On paid work, you kind of try to be tasteful and in a lot of ways a little bit invisible. On the channel, you're so free to experiment. If a punch-in saves a sentence, do it. A tiny bit of CRT glitch overlay, smooths a jump, throw it in. An unusual sound effects sells a transition, that's totally fine. No one emails you asking you to dial it back or refer to the brand guidelines again. That freedom really accelerates the development of your own instincts and sensibilities. I'm much better at spotting dead air live while recording. I can feel when I'm doing something to the color and it's not working a lot more intuitively. I'm quickly getting much more familiar with the lenses that I've got and how to use them and when to use them. And there's a bit of a repetitious nature to creating content for YouTube, but through that repetition, your familiarity and skills quickly improve. And that allows you to close the gap between what you're trying to make and what you actually make, and the gap gets smaller and smaller and smaller with each piece of content you make. How do you keep to the release schedule when life gets messy? I haven't really had to test this yet, but I think September is going to be a challenge. What I'd love to do is sit down and record 3 monologues in one go and then edit them as a batch. I'm not there yet. I'm still shooting week to week, which is totally okay. The rule is simple: publish on schedule. Striving for perfection on YouTube will make you miss the slot. Shipping something, anything, is what makes you better. If the week explodes, like a few of my weeks in September look likely to, travel, client notes, family stuff, you just have to scale back the ambition, not the upload. If I can make a 6-minute video that solves one problem for one viewer, I still count that as a win. I heard somewhere that you should treat YouTube like you're a baker. Fresh bread daily is the goal, not a wedding cake once a quarter. Let's talk about the industry wobble everyone's worried about a bit at the moment. AI, budgets, uncertainty, and why a channel is a small hedge that pays off even if you never go big. There's definitely a bit of pearl clutching about AI and what it might actually mean for us. I'm definitely not panicking, but inevitably the sea state will change, as it always does. A channel is kind of like a pre-warmed platform if commercial work turns choppy for a bit. Even a modest audience who understands how you think can be worth a lot. I anticipate that kind of diversification of offering could be really valuable for a lot of us. Importantly, to make YouTube work, you don't need to have circus charisma. You just need to be persistent. 10 honest minutes for a specific viewer every week. Not everyone, someone. I try and picture one person who I'm talking to, and it's definitely going to be a long game, which is completely the point. That persistence will build an asset that is impossible to take away. This is the fun bit, the little thrill of release day, and why it's still worth it even when you get those videos that underperform. There's a real buzz in pressing publish, or in my case, schedule. Some weeks it feels like rolling dice. There is method to learn: titles, thumbnails, retention, but I try not to get bogged down in graphs or any of that sort of stuff. The main thrill of it remains in making a video, which in a lot of ways is my vocation, so that makes sense. But in making a video that I'm happy with and one that's unencumbered by a client's constraints. And every now and then one lands, and I've had a video recently that got 10,000 views, which for me is insane. And when one gets 500 views, I mean, that's still pretty good. That's 500 real people who've chosen to watch my video. It's still an encouragement to keep going. And the surprise bonus, you start to enjoy your own voice again. Client work can make you very cautious, and the channel kind of nudges you back towards a more curious state of video making. It reminds me of why I first picked up a camera in the first place. Okay, let's talk formats. Here's the minimum effort structure that fits quite easily around paid work and actually grows to build something. Field lesson, fortnightly. Problem, options, decision, result, takeaway. Keep it honest. If the room's brighter than planned, show how you hold contrast without blowing out faces. If your favorite lens doesn't suit the space, I've got an 85mm that I really wish I could use more. In a lot of interiors, there's nowhere near a rough room. Talk about what you'd swap and why. Desk monologue, every other week. One thing you've actually lived, 6 to 8 minutes, 3 beats. Give the viewer one action to try tomorrow. Spare them any grand theory, go narrow and specific. Titles and thumbs. The title should answer a felt problem in plain language. The thumbnail says one big idea in 2 to 4 words. Try to avoid the trap of creating clickbait titles inspired by vidIQ high-scoring suggestions. I'm not always great at that myself. Outputs. 1 full-length video per week, plus 1 9:16 short cut from that video. Shorts help feed discovery, and the long one builds trust with the audience. I try and imagine them as a bit of a pair, as opposed to 2 completely separate things. That's easy when they're coming from the same video. A quick one, if you like the real-world bits, I tend to post day-to-day fragments of that on my Instagram. And sometimes you'll see me test ideas there before they become episodes. And it's a decent way to say hello without waiting an entire week. The link is in the description, but the username is on screen now. Let's try and address objections and hesitation next. You've probably got at least one objection. We'll try and clear it and move on. I don't have time. Cap it at 10 hours. Film the desk monologue in a single take. Sat in the studio, this never really takes me more than 20 to 30 minutes tops. Keep your inserts straightforward and then just ship. If a week goes sideways, try making a shorter piece. The streak matters more than the perfection. Oh, my clients would never allow it. That's totally okay. Teach principles instead of projects. And if you need to, you can recreate shots at home or blur logos, change names. Just sharing the thinking is what's important, not violating the NDA. Oh, I couldn't possibly. I hate being on camera. Listen, everybody hates being on camera. It feels extremely unnatural being on this side rather than that side. But if it's really that big of an issue, there are ways around it. You could start with a screen demo and a voiceover, and then maybe just introduce one short A-roll clip, and then maybe another the following week, and eventually, like I've found, it begins to feel a lot more normal. And remember, viewers will tolerate awkwardness if you're being useful. I took too long, I was trying to make it perfect. If you miss your scheduled publish slot, it's definitely not the end of the world. Worse things happen at sea, trust me. And the good news is there are ways to catch back up. You could put out a couple of shorts instead. You could make a really good next long form video. Whatever it is, it'll break the spell and it'll get you back moving again. Oh, I just wouldn't know what to talk about. BS. Just do what I do. Keep a list on your phone. Every time you have a good idea, write it down. Every time you have a medium idea, write that down as well. And in no time at all, you'll have a list of 20 ideas, each of which could be a perfectly valid exercise. Every time you have a problem, or every time you solve that problem, and every challenge you encounter, all those things are perfect germs around which you can build an entire episode. All you have to do is help one person with each video. That's it. I'm worried it'll look small. Let it look small. If the idea is big, nobody cares about how it looks. Keep the audio clean, make sure your face is lit, and that's all you need to keep going. Well done for making it this far through the video. Now I'm going to give you a 30-day plan that removes all excuses. Week 1. Pick 2 topics you could teach half asleep. 3 bullet points each. Block your 10 hours in the calendar as if it were a paid job. Write the opening paragraph as you would read it. Each of us will have our own best fit method for scripting. I like to do semi-scripted episodes, but most of that script comes from me speaking out loud what I'd like to talk about, and then writing down what I've spoken and then refining it into what becomes the script. Even then, I mostly deviate from it almost immediately. What the script does is it's a good way to order and structure my thoughts but when it comes to actually recording the A-roll, the script serves more just to nudge me along in the right direction. Week 2, film a straightforward desk monologue and just publish it. Keep the grade and effects simple, resist doing a second or third pass. Only talk about affiliates you genuinely use so you can talk about them with a straight face. Week 3, shoot a lesson in the field. The shape can be problem, options, decision, result, takeaway. And from that, cut a 9:16 short from that video and your preceding ones. Just pick the strongest 20 to 40 seconds, and that will have a clear and near immediate payoff. Week 4, repeat the above. Make sure all the while you're replying to comments, pull 2 FAQs, and help shape next month's plan around them. You've now got a bit of a cadence, you'll have got a month under your belt, a queue of topics, and a bit of self-proof that you can deliver on a schedule. And if you want or need a little bit of extra structure, try and give yourself 2 distinct content silos or series. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, but just labels and types that you can stick with. Notes from the field and Tuesday talk, for example, just real basic. And these labels, simple though they are, stop you from having to reinvent the show each and every week. Same skeleton, new muscle. And finally, one last nudge before I close, the bit I wish someone told me on day 1. You don't need to be original, you just need to be useful. And originality turns up by accident once you've been useful for long enough. If you come up with an idea that helps one specific person you can picture, someone that looks like you but 6 months ago, it's a good episode. How to get perfect color from any camera, 5 beginner's mistakes to avoid, how to work out your day rate, that level. Doesn't have to be mysterious. No, you won't believe overhype. Promise a thing and then deliver it. So that's the pitch. If you already make videos, you've got exactly what you need to make YouTube work. It's much freer than client work, oddly social in a really good way, and it sharpens you for the jobs that pay. I definitely don't expect it to replace client income tomorrow, next week, next month, or even next year. However, I do expect it to raise the ceiling on my craft, connections, and the kind of luck that only finds you when you have high visibility. So start this month. 1 field lesson, 1 desk monologue, 4 weeks, and tell me below what you're going to post first. I'm genuinely curious. And the comments are where good ideas get better. If this helped, a like helps others working filmmakers find it. Subscribe if you fancy more of these. I'm Jack. Whatever this is, I'm calling Western Approaches. Thank you very much for watching, and see you next time.